I'm the only daughter of the Gu family, but fate was never kind to me. They say I carry the curse of the lone star. Any man who falls for me ends up doomed. Some lasted 3 days, others a couple weeks, but disaster always followed. Zhaoye Pei was the only one who seemed immune. He stayed by my side for 3 full years, sweet-talking me every day, and nothing ever went wrong. A month before my coming-of-age ceremony, I had just begged father to approve my engagement to him. That very night, I saw him behind the rockery with Yunniang Liu in his arms. "Once I inherit the title, I'll marry you properly," he whispered. "For now, I've got to fake it with her. Just bear with me a little longer." I ran to father, tore up the freshly inked betrothal papers before him, and knelt down with tears in my eyes. "Father, I heard the heir of the Prince of the North may have a lame leg, but he holds command over the 13 cities in Mobei. Zhaoye Pei is just a disgraced official's son, an empty shell. Please let me marry the prince's heir." Father's teacup trembled slightly. "The heir took a fall from a horse 5 years ago. The imperial physician said he may never walk again." "What I need isn't his legs," I said. "It's the tiger tally that gives control over the frontier troops." Instead of backing Zhaoye Pei, why not keep the military power in the Gu family? Father finally set down the cup. "You are indeed my daughter. You've got more spine than that so-called best of the 4 noble sons. But power comes hard for women in this world," he added, pausing. "The Gu household needs a husband in name only as a front. I've heard the prince's heir is hard to deal with. He's secretive and holds real power. Might not be easy to manage." I didn't hesitate. "Even if I can't take full control, I'm at least 70% sure I can hold our ground." Father nodded slowly. "If that's your decision, then I'll send a proposal to the prince's residence." He looked at me for a long moment, then asked, "Snowy, did Zhaoye Pei betray you? Your mother passed early. I want our family to thrive, yes, but I also hoped you'd find someone who truly understands you. That way, your mother can rest easy." My eyes burned, but I forced a smile. "No betrayal. I just don't like him anymore." As if that were true, I used to love him deeply, but since he only had eyes for a girl like Yunniang Liu, then I, Zhao Shuigu, would never stoop to compete with her. He's the son of a disgraced criminal, no future in officialdom. After all those suitors who died mysteriously for liking me, no man in Chancheng dared approach me anymore. During the Shangxi festival, I visited Pudo Temple with my maids to pray for love. While tying my wish to a 1,000-year ginkgo behind the temple, the little plaque slipped from my fingers. I bent down to pick it up, but Zhaoye Pei got there first. He read my words aloud: "To find a true heart and grow old together." With a smile, he snapped off a twig with blooming peach blossoms and handed it to me. "That's easy. I feel fate brought us together. May I have the honor of walking this spring path with you?" Flustered, I covered his mouth and whispered for him to stop. But he held my hand, laughter in his eyes. "They say the daughter of Lord Gu is unmatched in beauty and grace. I, Zhaoye Pei, have admired you for so long. If I could marry you, I'd go to my grave happy." Blushing, I pulled him along. That night and countless ones after, I couldn't sleep, dreading I'd wake up to news of his death. I was terrified he'd die because of me, so I poured everything into protecting him. He said he had no power. I begged father for a post. He complained of a crumbling house. I bought him land and a villa. He said he had no business. I gave him the bank under my name. I thought his safety meant we were blessed. Turns out he was never really mine to begin with. Wiping my tears, I stepped outside and ran straight into Zhaoye Pei. Smiling, he handed me a jade box. Inside was a plain silver hairpin. "Snowy, your father's envoy came earlier to deliver the betrothal papers. He's planning to announce our engagement right after your coming-of-age ceremony." I looked all afternoon for this pin. It's simple, just like you, perfect. I looked into his eyes. That kind of sincerity didn't seem fake, and for a moment, my hopes flickered again. All these years, could it be that Zhaoye Pei had truly felt something for me? I pressed my lips together, deciding not to tell him I'd already torn up the marriage contract. "Zhaoye Pei, here's your last shot. If you show me even a sliver of true feeling before my coming-of-age ceremony, I'll give us another chance." The next morning, I went out to pick up things I'd need for the ceremony. At the fabric shop, just as I was sorting through materials for the gown, I saw Yunniang Liu walk in. her hair all done up with flashy ornaments. She was choosing only the most expensive fabrics, intricate embroidery, genuine silk from Jiangnan, the priciest ones in the shop. A girl like her, with no family, where'd she get the money? My chest tightened. Zhaoye Pei, you've really been generous with her. I met Zhaoye Pei not long before Yunniang Liu turned up outside my family home, claiming she'd sold herself to bury her father. Out of kindness, I gave her some silver, told her to buy land and settle down. The next day, she was already in our household. She dropped to her knees when she saw me. Miss Gu, the silver you gave me got stolen by bandits. If not for young Master Pei stepping in, I'd have been ruined. Zhaoye Pei helped her up, soft-eyed. Don't mention it. I just did what anyone should when they see injustice. Without asking, he took it upon himself to bring her into our home. But something about her story didn't sit right with me. My father's governed this city for years. Piancheng is well known for its safety. Bandits? Seriously? I quietly sent someone to check, and he reported back that the so-called bandit was a burly man from the north. Zhaoye Pei's a scholar through and through. Could he really take on a man like that and walk away unscathed? This girl, Yunniang Liu, definitely isn't who she says she is. I gave a subtle signal to my guard to keep an eye on her. In a month, I might be marrying far from here. I can't afford to leave loose ends like her behind. After leaving the fabric shop, I headed over to look at jewelry. When I glanced at a rosewood shelf that usually held premium pieces, I noticed a dusty patch left open. Out of curiosity, I asked, "Boss, what used to be on this shelf?" He glanced up and said, "Oh, that spot? Used to hold the imperial red gold hairpin from the former queen. Super rare, crazy expensive. Sat there for years till young Master Pei came by and bought it yesterday." Then he added with a smile, "Heard you two are getting married. He must have bought it for you, right? You're lucky. Thing cost over 10,000 silver taels." Something clenched in my chest. At the fabric shop earlier, I'd clearly seen Yunniang Liu wearing a red gold hairpin. My voice trembled as I asked, "Do you sell plain silver pins?" "Just want to take a look." The shopkeeper gave me a puzzled look, but still led me to a nearby counter stacked with hundreds of plain silver pins. "These are all student practice pieces, not worth much. Are you buying these for your maidservants, Miss Gu?" They looked exactly like the one Zhaoye Pei gave me. My eyes stung. I remembered how tender he'd looked when handing it to me, saying it was specially picked. So much for special. More likely, he'd just grabbed a random one while shopping for Yunniang Liu. I didn't bother looking anymore. I picked out a few random pieces and had them wrapped up, then left the store in a daze. That plain pin still sat on my vanity. Yesterday, I treasured it like it was precious. Today, I couldn't even stand the sight of it. Then word came from the guard I had following Yunniang Liu. She'd gone to the estate I gave Zhaoye Pei. The guard looked hesitant. "Miss, there's something else. Not sure I should say it." I nodded. He swallowed, then said with hesitation in his voice, "At the estate, I saw Yunniang Liu holding a child. After making some discreet inquiries, I learned that the child is hers, with young Master Pei." I clenched my fists, nails cutting into my palms without me even realizing it. Half a month later, a letter arrived from the north. It was from Hui Yuan, the prince of the northern border. He said, on the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, his men would arrive at the Gu residence with betrothal gifts to bring me north. I held the letter, emotions all over the place. Zhaoye Pei, if you'd shown me even a sliver of real affection, I would have torn up that letter without hesitation. Now that I think back, even the way we met, it was all planned from the start. If I weren't the only daughter of the Duke of Zhengguo, would you still have gone to all that trouble to get close to me? A few days later, just a week before my coming-of-age ceremony, Zhaoye Pei invited me for a boat ride on the lake. On the small boat, he held me close, gazing at me all lovey-dovey. "Shuier, once we're married, I want a son and a daughter. I've even picked out names. But I've never been a father before. I'm scared I wouldn't know how to take care of them." I thought of the kid hidden away in his estate and felt disgusted. I shoved him off. Just then, shouting came from the shore. "Someone's fallen into the lake." I looked over, but Zhaoye Pei pulled me back, looking all laid back. "Shuier, it's not every day we get to do this. Don't worry about those random folks." I couldn't stand watching his fake concern anymore. I insisted on going ashore to help. In the end, he gave in reluctantly and ordered the boatman to steer toward the dock. As we drew closer, I squinted. The one flailing in the water looked like Yunniang Liu. Zhaoye Pei recognized her too. He jumped up, peering over the side, and urged the boatman to hurry. Watching how quickly his whole attitude flipped, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. I turned back to the boatman. Change of plans. I haven't felt this relaxed in ages. Let's circle the lake again. Zhaoye Pei panicked and shouted, "This is about someone's life. Hurry, take us in." I grabbed his hand, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Just now, didn't you say we shouldn't bother with strangers? Or is the person who fell in your lady friend?" His face stiffened, and he awkwardly sat back down. "Of course not. There's only you in my heart, Shuer. I'm just tired. Let's head back, all right?" The boatman hesitated, finally starting to row toward shore. I snapped, "Who do you answer to? Me, the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Zhengguo, or him, a mere outsider?" Right then, instead of arguing, Zhaoye Pei clenched his jaw and jumped straight into the water to swim toward Yunniang Liu. Water splashed all over me. The wind blew through my soaked sleeves. It chilled me to the bone. I sat there, stunned, but the chill inside me stung more than the cold outside. When we finally docked, I caught sight of Zhaoye Pei wrapping his coat around a dripping Yunniang Liu, helping her onto a carriage. He didn't even remember he promised to take me to Xinghua Tower for pastries. Suddenly, I felt exhausted. For years, I lived in constant fear that he might suddenly die because of my cursed fate. I gave him everything I could, and to him, all of it meant nothing. Just what I was supposed to do. He always believed I was born unlucky, like he was my only choice. But if you don't actually love me and only want my family's title and money, why should I pick you over someone else? Someone who might not love me either, but at least holds more power than you? Back home, I pulled out every gift Zhaoye Pei had given me over the years. A plain silver hairpin, something maids usually wear. A wilted garland, worthless, made of weeds, yet I had cherished it for so long. A cheap sachet, beginner-level embroidery, the kind apprentices practice with. I went through it all and couldn't find a single thing that showed real thought. Yet these were the gifts that fooled me for years. I packed everything in a box, took it to the back garden, and set it all on fire. As the smoke curled into the sky, I felt lighter. Free, finally. The night before my coming-of-age ceremony, I couldn't sleep. I had never stepped outside Changcheng my whole life, and now I was going to be married off to Mobei, to a man known for being cold and strange. Of course, I felt uneasy. I got out of bed and wandered around the manor. Passing by the storeroom with my dowry, I spotted two shadows. Zhaoye Pei was dressing Yunniang Liu in my wedding robe. My head went blank. Rage rushed up before I could think. I stormed in and slapped Zhaoye Pei across the face. "What are you doing? That wedding dress was hand-stitched by my mother before she died. How could you let her, an outsider, wear it?" Zhaoye Pei held his face, clearly caught off guard. "Shuer, why are you here in the middle of the night?" Yunniang Liu fell to her knees in a rush. "Miss Gu, I'm just a servant girl. I know I'll never get to wear a real bridal robe. Young Master Pei was just being kind, letting me try yours on for once." Zhaoye Pei quickly chimed in. "Exactly. She just wanted to see what it felt like. That's all. The dress is still yours. It's not a big deal." I looked at him, no guilt on his face, not a trace, and I'd had enough. I called the shadow guards, told them to strip off his official robe and throw it on the servant boy next to him. "Since it still technically belongs to you too, it shouldn't matter if he tries it on, right?" Zhaoye Pei's face turned red, then pale. Still, he reached out to grab my hand, forcing a smile. "Shuer, don't be mad, all right? I'll bring you your favorite osmanthus cakes from Xinghua tomorrow." I pulled my hand away and gave a bitter smile. "Zhaoye Pei, have you ever even listened? I hate osmanthus cakes." "I've told you 3 times. I like rice cakes with apricot blossoms, not those." I didn't bother with him again. I turned and walked back to my room, calling in the guards behind me. "If you haven't figured out who backs Yunniang Liu by the time the wedding procession arrives tomorrow, take her out." I was going to marry far north to Mobei. I couldn't be sure what the prince's intentions were toward my family, so I couldn't leave any threats behind. On the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, I wore full ceremonial dress. I had my maid apply extra powder under my eyes, hiding the dark circles from lack of sleep. The banquet was packed. Guests murmured among themselves. Isn't Zhao Shuigu born under the solitarily cursed star? What man would dare marry her? They'd be doomed. Who else but Zhaoye Pei? His family already lost everything. Only he has nothing left to lose with her. My father heard their whispers too. He cleared his throat and set his wine cup down with a firm thud. The room fell silent. I invited you all here today not just to celebrate my daughter's coming of age, but also to make an announcement. She's already engaged. We just haven't made it public until now. Her future husband is. Everyone looked around, but there was no sign of Zhaoye Pei. Confusion filled the room. Just then, Zhaoye Pei burst in, breathless and frantic. Zhaoye Gu, where did you take Yunniang? She's gone, left the baby and disappeared. I fixed my eyes on him, voice cold. You're really going to kick up a scene at my ceremony. For her? Zhaoye Pei glared at me. Bring her back right now, or I'm not marrying you. Gasps broke out across the hall. My father shot to his feet, voice thunderous. Every promotion you got was thanks to my daughter. And this is how you repay her? I didn't get angry. I just smiled. Who told you I was marrying you? The room went silent, then filled with stunned murmurs. Zhaoye Pei's face turned red with fury. You're lying. Who else would have you? A jinx like you ruins every man who gets close. My father calmly stroked his beard. Indeed, she's not marrying Zhaoye Pei. He refused to accept it. The title he thought was his was slipping away, and he clung to denial. No, there's no mistake. Shui'er is mine. There must be some misunderstanding. Just then, the wedding procession from the prince arrived at our gates. The lead servant unrolled a long list and began to read. Prince Huiyuan of the Northern Kingdom seeks Lady Zhao Shuigu's hand in marriage, by formal proposal, through honorable rites. The dowry includes 8 panels of gold-inlaid screen, 10 bolts of Eastern sea silk, 10 rolls of auspicious brocade. This proposal is not meant to boast wealth, but to show his sincerity. Even kingdoms pale in comparison, he offers her his life. Hearing the ridiculously extravagant list of betrothal gifts, Zhaoye Pei slumped to the ground, face drained of color. I knelt to accept the gifts with grace, then followed the servants moving the dowry toward the bridal procession. Suddenly, Zhaoye Pei grabbed the hem of my sleeve as if just remembering something. The crown prince of Dingbei broke his back falling off a horse. He's a cripple. Zhao Shui, you can't marry him. I shook his hand off. Lord Pei, mind your manners. There are boundaries between men and women. I climbed into the carriage and left the town of Qiancheng, where I'd lived for over a decade. It'd take about a month to reach Shuofang, the city governed by the Prince of Dingbei. As dusk settled, the convoy stopped to rest. One of my hidden guards came to report. The inner-city spies had sent a pigeon message. Yunniang Liu sensed she was being followed and fled Qiancheng last night. They lost track of her. I frowned, suspicions about her identity deepening. Another half-month passed. I was dozing against the carriage cushion when it suddenly jerked to a halt, jolting me awake. I lifted the curtain and saw that we were surrounded by a group of rough-looking men with foreign features. The guards had drawn their weapons, alert and ready. We only want Zhao Shuigu. Hand her over now and the rest of you can go. The chief of the entourage drew his blade. Absolutely not! We'll protect Miss Gu with our lives. Our numbers were no match. Realizing we were in deep trouble, I quickly ordered one of my shadow guards to take the map and inform Huiyuan in Shuofang. One guard after another fell. Before long, I was tied up tight and hauled away with all the dowry items. I closed my eyes, trying to stay calm. I'd never met Huiyuan. I had no idea if he would come for me. My father was unfamiliar with this desert terrain. Barely any help. At this point, all I could do was hope Huiyuan would take action. A few days later, the bandits dragged me into a camp. Boss, we brought her. Out stepped a woman. It was Yunniang Liu. She walked over, gave me a once-over, and after confirming who I was, suddenly yanked out one of my fingernails. I cried out, and she kicked me with a scowl. I stuck with that useless pay boy just for a shot at controlling Duke Zhen's troops, and you went and backed out of marrying him. All my effort wasted. But no matter. Huiyuan's power is what we really need. take her nail and the marriage letter to Shuofang, make Hui Yuan join us in siding with Beatty. If he refuses, kill Zhao Shui Gu. The man saluted and asked, Boss, but Hui Yuan and Zhao Shui don't even know each other. What if he says no? You forgot who her father is. If Hui Yuan refuses, we'll use her to threaten the Zhen State Duke. I froze in shock. I never expected Yunniang Liu to be a Beatty spy. That night, tied to a post in the camp, I pretended to nap, head down. But I caught Yunniang and her men talking. Minister Li from the Central Court sent us word this month. He blocked the fund allocation for Chen Cheng's border army. Minister Li? My father had mentioned his embezzling, so he's working with Beatty. Exactly. Cut off Chen Cheng's defenses first. Once we take Shuofang from Hui Yuan, we'll march south. I gritted my teeth. I had to get out. I couldn't let Beatty get their way. A few days later, a message came from Hui Yuan. He said he needed time to consider. He'd respond in 3 days. They were told not to harm me in the meantime. I was filled with dread. If Hui Yuan truly agreed, it'd all be over. Shuofang, the key defensive base against the north, was held by Hui Yuan, and Changcheng, the second barrier, was in my father's hands. Just as the third day drew near, the anxiety was eating me alive. I made up my mind. If Hui Yuan really agreed to North Dai's demands, I'd bite my tongue and end it all for the sake of my family and country. Right before dawn, when the sky was just starting to turn pale, I was about to go through with it, when suddenly the rope tying my hands was sliced open. A man with striking exotic features made a quick shh gesture. Quiet, come with me. I climbed onto his horse, and he wrapped one arm around me, urging the horse into a full gallop. The enemy camp soon disappeared behind us. We didn't stop until night fell. He found a hidden cave for shelter. He lit a fire and handed me some dried food. Had to move fast to get to you, could only bring the basics. When we reach Suofang City, I'll treat you to some apricot blossom rice cakes. I grabbed his sleeve, desperate. You're going to Suofang City, right? Please, take me to Hui Yuan. He must not agree to Yunniang Liu's terms. North D's planning to invade. Suofang cannot fall. He didn't rush to answer, just replied calmly. Just call me Hui Yu. You do know people say Hui Yuan brings bad luck, his entire family gone. You still want to marry a man like that? I raised my chin. Perfect. I'm said to bring death to every man who falls for me. Dozens have already died on my account. A cursed star doesn't bother me. He stared at me for a beat before breaking into laughter. You're something else. If we keep up this pace, we should reach Suofang by midday, the day after tomorrow. When we reached Suofang, the guards at the gate recognized Hui Yu right away and let us in without question. He led me into the UN residence, stopping at a secluded courtyard. The heir had this place set up for you in advance. You'll stay here for now. There's no time for a proper wedding, given the urgency, even though you're not officially married yet. I've already had word sent to Duke Gu in Qian City, so he won't be used against us. I nodded. I overheard them say there's someone in the court working with North D. If the heir agrees to switch sides, the consequences will be disastrous. He raised an eyebrow. You really don't trust the man you're about to marry? I gave a helpless smile. I've never even seen him. All I know is the rumors. People say he can't even walk properly. Hui Yu changed the subject, pushing a plate of apricot blossom rice cakes in front of me. Apricot blossoms? In this freezing land? He pointed at a tree in the courtyard. The heir had it brought over from Qian City. Keeps the place warm year-round just so it can bloom. Right then, someone came to report. The he. Hui Yu cut him off. Just call me General. General, our scouts say North D discovered that Miss Gu is missing. They're planning to strike Suofang City tonight with about 30,000 men. Hui Yu frowned. We already sent 2 elite units west to reinforce the border. They won't make it back in time. Yes, and lately the court's been cutting funds. Our forces are already stretched thin. At this point, counting on help from Duke Gu won't be fast enough. Hui Yu glanced up at the sky. Mobei clouds. We'll get a northern wind. Even riding with the wind from Qian City would take 20 days minimum. Something suddenly came to me. My eyes lit up. You said there's going to be a north wind? When I was taken to their camp, I saw a map inside their tent. It showed where they're stockpiling supplies. There's a lake south of the granaries, full of reeds. This time of year, those reeds are dry as tinder. One spark and the whole area's aflame. Use the wind to spread the fire, cut off their supplies. Huiyu looked at me seriously. Didn't expect you to know military tactics. I gave him a glare. Don't look down on me. My father taught me as much strategy as any of you. He chuckled, shaking his head. Not judging. I've heard Duke Gu always wanted you to take over the family title. Bet learning all that must have cost you plenty. He had someone bring the map, and I pointed out roughly where the grain depot was. The next night, Suofang City sent a unit of elite soldiers to destroy the Northern D's grain storage under the cover of darkness. Caught off guard, the Northern Dai fell into chaos. Huiyu quickly gathered the city's generals and launched an offensive. It didn't take long before the enemy was routed. Northern D surrendered on their own, and even exposed the court traitors hiding among us. Huiyu gave credit for everything to me. The emperor was beyond pleased. He rewarded the Duke Protector's household with 10,000 gold taels, and personally granted me the title of Loyal Marquess, along with the honorary post of Crown Prince's mentor. After the reward, the Yuan residents began preparing for my wedding with Hui Yuan. But even so, I still hadn't seen Hui Yuan once. Though, since the wedding was going ahead as planned, that at least meant he was alive and well, and apparently not doomed by my so-called cursed fate. I laughed bitterly. If he doesn't love me, he doesn't. I'd already made peace with the idea of spending the rest of my life alone when I agreed to marry him. That day, just as I stepped out of Yuan Mansion, a shadow darted out from the side. A figure came at me with a dagger. Huiyu dashed over and shielded me with his own body. The blade stabbed straight into his chest, blood gushing out in seconds. Guards, the heir's been attacked. Yunniang Liu, the assassin, was hacked to death on the spot. But Hui Yuan had taken the blow for me, and now he was gravely wounded, unconscious. Even the best doctor in Suofang City looked at his injury and shook his head. No guarantee he'd survive it. I sat beside his bed, staring blankly at his pale face. I just couldn't believe it. Hui Yu was Hui Yuan all along. Back in Qian City, I'd heard he'd broken his back falling from a horse and was a cripple. But Hui Yu had moved with such ease, even led charges on horseback. Off to the side, Hui Yuan's old nursemaid noticed the look on my face. Wiping away tears, she explained, the Duke of Dingbai's line originally came from the Northern Di. They were a royal branch absorbed into the empire and given a noble title. Things have been peaceful along the northern border for decades now, and a foreign royal line like the Duke's has become a thorn in the court's side. The heir's been hunted since he was a child. He only survived by sheer luck. To avoid more threats, the young lord pretended to be crippled from a fall. Playing weak kept him safe. I took Hui Yuan's hand in mine. I couldn't stop the memory of him hurling himself in front of that dagger from flashing through my mind. My eyes filled with tears. He and I never even met before. Why would he risk his life for me? The nursemaid said gently, that's not quite true. His mother was from Qian City. Took him there for a visit when he was young. He was pushed into the water and nearly drowned. Your ladyship saved him. You probably don't remember it, but after you rescued him, you even took him to Xinghua Tea House for some pastries. He never forgot you loved apricot rice cake. After returning from Qian City, he had apricot trees from there transplanted into our garden. Apricots don't bloom easily in the north, so he put up warm stoves just to keep them flowering all year for you. Eyes still wet, I asked. Then why didn't he come ask for my hand earlier? The fortune teller said he was born under a cursed star. He made it to adulthood, but lost almost everyone close to him. He didn't want to drag you into that kind of fate, so he just quietly kept an eye on how you were doing, never dared to come forward. But the moment you sent your father to propose on your behalf, he couldn't hold back anymore. You should have seen how happy he was when he got the letter. I hadn't seen him smile like that since his mother passed. By then, I could no longer hold back. I buried my head beside his bed and sobbed like a child. A whole year passed, and Hui Yuan still didn't wake up. During that year, I took over everything he left behind, running Suofang City on my own. I handled every matter, big and small, bringing order to the chaos. Every day I'd sit by his bed, signing documents. Sometimes wind rattled the windows, or a stray cat knocked something over. and every time I would jump, thinking he might have woken up. But it was always just a false hope. But my mind was made up. Even if Hui Yuan never woke up again, I was ready to stay by his side and live out my days in Shuofang City. Then one day, someone unexpected showed up. It was Zhaoye Pei, looking a mess. After my father took back his estate and businesses, he also lost his official position. At first, he got by selling off the jewelry and trinkets I'd once given him, but it didn't take long before he was broke and just copying texts to make a living. When he heard Hui Yuan had been attacked and was still unconscious, he suddenly remembered me. Shuer, I know I was wrong. Yunniang Liu was a spy from Beidi. I was fooled by her. That's the only reason I left you. Hui Yuan's a cripple, and now he's in a coma. Why don't we just start over? I'll treat you like a queen this time. I took a deep breath and laughed through my anger at how shameless he was. And if not Yunniang Liu, who's next? Zhaoye Liu? Wangyang Liu? After all these years, hasn't it ever crossed your mind why you weren't affected at all by my so-called cursed fate? With not a trace of shame, he said, doesn't that mean we're meant to be? Look what your fate's done to Hui Yuan, turned him into a living corpse. Thinking no one was around, he suddenly lunged at me, trying to force himself on me. I fought back as hard as I could, but he clamped a hand over my mouth so tightly I couldn't even scream. Tears streamed down my face. I truly thought it was over until his eyes went wide and he collapsed on the spot. Hui Yuan, you're awake. He pulled me into his arms, his voice calm and steady. If I don't wake up, what on earth is my darling wife supposed to do? I'm sorry for making you wait so long. After Hui Yuan woke, we held a grand wedding. The streets of Shuofang were lit up with crystal lanterns, red silk carpets spread for miles, and the jet-black lacquered carriage was pulled by 8 snow-white horses. Gifts from the emperor included 9 5-foot-tall coral trees and a bright red wedding robe, carefully embroidered with golden threads by the palace's best needleworkers. As I slipped into the gown, I couldn't help thinking about the one my mother made for me before she passed away. My heart sunk. It's a shame. The gown my mother hand-stitched was lost when I got captured by the Beidi. Hui Yuan gently placed a jade bracelet in my palm. I sent the shadow guards to look for your dowry. They couldn't recover much, but they did find this. The warmth in my heart spread. It's okay. I just felt a little wistful. This bracelet was hers. I know you went through a lot to find it. Blushing slightly, he said, actually, I had my mother make a wedding gown for you too. I teased, so you had plans all along, huh? His ears turned bright red. Without a word, he opened a delicate wooden box, pulling out a set of wedding robes with a touch of northern flair and a stack of letters. I wrote you so many letters, but I couldn't bring myself to send them. I was afraid my cursed star fate might hurt you. My eyes filled with tears. When you were in that coma, you have no idea how guilty I felt. I kept thinking maybe I was the reason. You got hurt because of me. I was so scared you'd never open your eyes again. He hugged me tight. When your father came to propose on your behalf, I had a fortune teller look into our fates. He said that, yeah, our lives might be rough on their own, but together, we turn misfortune into power. We're made for something greater. I clung to him. Let me be the wind from the southwest. Just let me drift forever into your arms. After the wedding, happiness came easily. In under 3 years, we were blessed with a son and a daughter. By his teens, our son was already leading troops and winning battles. And our daughter, a prodigy in governance and military tactics, who, even as a child, came up with brilliant new tax laws. As for Zhaoye Pei, I heard he ended up forcing the daughter he had with Yunniang Liu into selling herself just to keep him in wine and pleasure. People spat when they saw him. One night, drunk out of his mind, he stumbled into a river. No one helped him. He drowned. Just like that, the end.